Coming up on Mountain News this morning, winter weather has been a hindrance to everyone, but those driving electric vehicles have felt the impact more than most. Plus, a new House bill aims to help domestic violence victims protect retirement and life insurance money from abusers.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:31 on Friday, January 19th. Now let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Olivia, and good morning, everyone. The flakes continue to fly across central Kentucky. Some of us have seen the action kind of ease up, but it'll be picking up here as we head through the next half hour to 45 minutes. Winter storm warnings in effect, Harlan, Letcher, and Pike counties. The rest of us, winter weather advisories and the pinpoint Doppler radar becoming more active here over the last hour. And you can see coming into Jackson from Boonville and McKee and Stanton tracking toward West Liberty, another good burst of snow. You make your way back toward Lexington into the north and west. Again, that will continue to track in toward us. And just keep in mind, good bursts of snow. The roads have been treated. They've been treated earlier in the week, but nonetheless, we could get some slick spots here as we head through the Friday morning drive. All right, 2 to 4 for a lot of us, upwards of 5. Letcher, Harlan, Pike counties in the high terrain, and coating to 3. Less as you make your way toward the Cumberland Valley. Here's your forecast as we head through today. Flurries, snow showers, again, some bursts of steadier light snow and a forecast high, upper 20s and close to 30. Another blast of cold air. It's only a short visit this time, though, and we'll explain. First Alert 7-day forecast and a special hello to somebody in Leslie County coming up in a few moments. Olivia?
Tim, thank you. Kentucky State Police have identified the victim of a deadly fire in Floyd County earlier this week. Crews responding to the fire found 63-year-old Diane Price dead inside the home along Willow Valley. Her body was sent to the state medical examiner's office for an autopsy. Price's cause of death is under investigation, but we are told no foul play is suspected. The cause of the fire is still unknown. Now an update on a story we first told you about earlier this week that's also in Floyd County. A northern Kentucky mother has died due to suspected carbon monoxide poisoning. State police say 2 women were on a youth group retreat at the Bluegrass Palace in Langley when they were found unresponsive. The Floyd County coroner says 44-year-old Kara Hanks of Melbourne died before she reached the hospital. The other woman is still in the hospital. Following a statewide shutdown of county clerks' offices to implement a new system at the start of the year, they are now back up and running on the new Kentucky Automated Vehicle Information System, also known as CAVIS. However, Perry County Clerk Wayne Napier says since his office has reopened this week, they are dealing with several bugs in the system, frustrating folks needing their services as well as clerk's office employees.
A lot of the customers are getting frustrated because we can't help them, but it's really nothing that we can do to fix it for them. We have to wait for our CAVIS team to fix it, coming from Frankfurt. And I know that's frustrating for them because they've waited so long, but I wish we could help more, and it's just out of our hands. There's nothing we can do.
Collins and Napier both say they are not sure how long the issues will last, but it is an issue across the state. Tesla drivers may be able to avoid the gas pump, but like the rest of us, their electric vehicles can't escape the effects of the recent extreme cold, including their batteries. An expert tells us it can take 40 minutes or more before the battery can even begin to charge. Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw have some of their advice.
This was the scene earlier this week in a Chicago suburb. Tesla owners were dealing with dead batteries from the extreme cold, and at another location around Chicago, Tesla drivers were complaining about not having enough working charging stations. At one point, the wind chill there was negative 35 degrees. A reported 10 Teslas were towed away. Mike Proctor is with Evolve KY, an advocacy group for EVs.
Especially in the Tesla world, if you let your state of charge of the battery get below about 30% in cold weather, you run the risk of extremely long times to charge the vehicles at the fast chargers.
Evolve KY says unlike other EVs, Teslas are always using battery power to run the onboard electronics. The group has some tips on managing the cold and Tesla's battery. They say check your settings, make sure the car does not try to maintain a cabin temperature when no one's operating the vehicle. If possible, park in the garage. When possible, take advantage of level 2 charging stations in cold temperatures. And don't forget to recharge the battery before the level drops below 30%. According to AAA, Kentucky Tesla drivers haven't had those same issues as they have in Chicago, but they say it doesn't mean it can't happen here.
Tesla owners and all EV owners really are experiencing here in Kentucky can end up being, even magnified when you get those super cold temperatures.
Stay warm and safe driving. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
And Proctor says you can also let your Tesla warm up while it's plugged in before you take off. The calm weather for much of yesterday gave road crews some time to prepare for last night's snow. Crews in Pulaski County spent much of yesterday tightening bolts and changing out blades on snow plows. State highway crews have been working 12-hour shifts, and that is expected to go through the weekend. Somerset streets and road crews worked a 24-hour shift Sunday into Monday and spent yesterday preparing for another round of weather.
Well, we're here again for the duration, and hopefully we can get another round of salt down this evening or this afternoon before it starts, and allow this to come off a lot easier.
Of course, it gets tiring, and it gets long after so many hours, especially those guys and girls that are out there, plowing in the middle of the night, and it's just constantly, the snow's falling, precipitation is falling, and they don't feel like they're making any headway, whenever it gets covered back up.
Both the city of Somerset and state highway garage officials say they have plenty of salt. In fact, they say they are likely still using some salt left over from last year. Kentuckians are finding ways to escape these wintry conditions and are heading for the Caribbean. AAA of the Bluegrass says January is peak season for Kentuckians to book and board cruise lines. Lori Weaver Hawkins with AAA of the Bluegrass says cruises have been growing in popularity since the end of the pandemic. Weaver Hawkins says people are drawn to cruises because it allows passengers to see multiple destinations while only packing once. She says more families are taking to the water and more ships are coming online. The drawback, Weaver Hawkins says the demand is high and that brings a higher cost.
So when we were first coming out of the pandemic, cruises, as they came back in line and people were taking a cruise again, we saw some really great deals. There are fewer of those great deals out there now because of this demand.
Weaver Hawkins suggests to book ahead of time to get better pricing. Royal Caribbean is close to launching the world's largest cruise ship, Icon of the Seas. It has a maximum capacity of 10,000 passengers. The House Judiciary Committee passed House Bill 5, also known as the Safer Kentucky Act. The vote came after 2 hours of testimony from those for and against it. The bill looks to strengthen Kentucky crime laws, including people convicted of the murder of first responders facing life in prison or the death penalty. It would also create a third strike penalty for repeat violent offenders. The widow of Scott County Deputy Caleb Conley, who was shot in the line of duty last year, testified yesterday for the bill.
We are the ones who suffer the consequences of these crimes. And I believe if this bill is passed, it will make a difference. If people know that if they murder a first responder, they will go to prison for the rest of their lives, or they will receive a sentence of death, maybe then they will stop killing our first responders.
Opponents of the bill say it criminalizes homelessness. The bill now heads to the full House and is expected to be taken up next week. A state lawmaker wants to stop abusers from getting their victims' money. House Bill 155 would protect the retirement and life insurance money of domestic abuse survivors. The measure would apply in cases where spouses are convicted of felonies against their partners. A survivor who wanted to remain anonymous testified in Frankfort yesterday. That person's family member says she thinks it's wrong that abusers can get any part of the victim's assets.
It's unfair to go to prison and still take your spouse's, half of your spouse's pension to force the victim to live beneath poverty level. And that's what we're dealing with.
A House committee passed the bill. Some lawmakers want to make sure it will apply to crimes committed after couples file for divorce as well. Wildlife experts are warning hunters about the avian flu. They confirmed cases in 2 snow geese in Henderson County. Avian flu is often deadly in wild birds and domestic chickens. Fish and wildlife officials ask people not to harvest birds found dead or that are obviously sick and to thoroughly cook all game. They are also urging people who hike through waterfowl habitats to take precautions. You can report sightings of sick or dead birds or chickens to the fw.ky.gov.
And it's a first alert weather day here on a Friday as a pinpoint Doppler radar has gotten increasingly active again. We go ahead and put on the colors so you can see the form of snow and get a better perspective. West of Jackson up towards Stanton, Boonville to McKee. Some good bursts of snow just west of Moorhead coming in. Eastbound on 64 out of Lexington. We look back toward Louisville. Another burst of snow beyond Lexington, Harrisonville, toward the I-65 corridor, and that will be coming across the region as well. So if it seems like you're looking out, it didn't seem like much from last night, we'll catch up as we head through the morning. 2 to 4 as you make your way from Hazard and Jackson, Moorhead to Ashland, a little bit more high terrain, Letcher, Harlan, Pike counties, less regarding snow toward the Cumberland Valley. Here's the 7-day forecast. Actually, I keyed this up so you get a bonus view of the 7-day forecast for later in the show. 31 snow showers, flurries, some bursts of light snow today, down to 4 tonight and up to 19 tomorrow. Gonna stand in front of it, gonna hide it. It'll be worth the wait. I'll explain why. Something about warming. 7-day forecast coming up in a few moments. Olivia?
Thanks, Tim, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:43. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. With days to go before the New Hampshire primary, former President Trump and Nikki Haley are escalating attacks against each other.